Hello, mate.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Better for seeing you.
I know, I was literally thinking that before I came on. I was like, I could already feel a brightness from the fact that we were going to speak. It's been so long. Catch me up. Where are you at with life now? What's happening in your life for people to understand you and for me to understand you now?
Okay, so we moved, which was like a big deal in our house in terms of where like the family was. That's been a big transition. We've been sort of renovating our house. We've obviously been working a long time like together to sort of have this space, and it's really cool. Obviously wanted a space for the kids to kind of grow and feel confident in the next kind of part of life. I've got a son who's in secondary school now, which still feels bananas. The two little ones are, I think they're the adults of the family. They're the ones that are almost like organizing everything, which is like just madness. But yeah, no, in terms of that, mate, personal stuff, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but it's been the exciting kind. So yeah, very happy, very fulfilled with that stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear though. And that the house is all done.
I'd say 80% of the way there, but
That's
it's enough, which is the important thing.
Yeah, it's a big shift, isn't it? When you're
Mm,
renovating or moving, it puts a lot of stress on your life.
mm.
How have you found that?
To the initially doing it was how do I word this? Definitely 100% the right thing to do because of what we're able to now have as or what we get to call a home is very I'm very grateful, very lucky. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do as a collective, but actually it is really difficult on just day-to-day simple things like we didn't have running water for a long time, and that
Wow.
can cause loads of stress. And then we were lucky enough that we were able to stay at my mother-in-law's for a bit of time, which is that's probably a whole different conversation that we need to have. But it causes a lot of sort of like day-to-day stresses, and it's very difficult. But ultimately it's like you just want to make sure the kids are all right. But the funny thing is that they're more tough and resilient than us as adults. The stuff they're like, no, Dad, this is great, we can live like this. So it actually takes a lot of pressure off that, which is really cool. So
They're so
does
good
bring a
at
lot of challenges.
adapting, aren't they?
They are so flexible. It's again because to be completely transparent, as we were kind of thinking about making the move, it was for them. And then me and my wife having in conversations, are they going to be okay? They're going to be happy. We're stressing about everything. It's literally like water off a duck's back for them. Like they've been so good, and um, I think it's been a good experience for them because they've probably seen us a little bit stressed and a little bit worried about things, which I think is important because I think as adults anyway, we can sometimes hide our emotions from ourselves and maybe other people in our life. But I think it's also important, obviously in a healthy way, but to show and expose children to sort of emotion of life because actually it's one of the, I guess, one of the biggest lessons I probably realized off of the back of it is that I really want to teach my children how to slow down because I think in life and something I probably realized about myself over the last little while is getting caught on that sort of J curve of life of where you're just trying to go up and more and add. And actually that can lead to so much stress, burnout, pressure. And I've just really been trying to highlight to the kids it's important to, yes, work hard and go after the things that are important, but realize there's points that you've got to stop and just chill and be because otherwise you'll get yourself into a little bit of a pickle.
Yeah, I love that you've just brought that to the conversation because I was literally about to ask you, in reflection of seeing the kids go through this experience, what lessons have you learned by watching them? And then you've brought up your own lesson there in the meantime. But are there any other lessons? Because I think that we can learn so much from children.
Mm.
And I do believe that a lot of adults don't look or they don't want to be curious into ages beneath them. And actually, there are so many lessons within that in that age bracket of children.
That is, it's made me realize it's slightly off-piste. I used to work in care, so I used to work with adults with special needs. And one of the biggest lessons I learned from them is be present, vocalize how you're feeling, and just enjoy the situation that you're in. This is a sad story, but we will come back. Um, was supporting a couple, and sadly he passed away. The following day we had sort of like a disco event, and she still wanted to go. And we were at this disco event, and she was dancing and have like really throwing herself around. And I'll be honest, I was struggling with it because I was like, how emotionally are you able just to do this? And I remember sort of after I was like, mate, you ready? Should we go home? Have you finished? She said, yeah, Ben, we can go now. So I called the cab, and as we were in the cab driving home, I said, mate, how did you find that? And she got a little bit teary, and I said, oh, mate, what's happening? Are you okay? And she said, he would have wanted me to do that. And I said, would
Oh,
you explain that to me? And she said, he's always told me to be happy. And I think she said, just be happy like that. And I went,
oh gosh,
it's me
stop
like looking out the
it.
window going, oh, but do you know what I mean? It's that ability to go, do you know what? I need to do something. And it's the same with the kids to sort of bring it back. With the kids, they were like just making the most out of everything. Where I was like, no, we've not got running water. They were like, oh, Dad, should we go out and buy a drink and get some? Like, I know that sounds very silly, but in my head, I'm like, this is a disaster. But they're like, no, this is great. How can we make it fun? Like, we were getting takeaways and sitting on the floor, and it just makes it even more magic. Children are so good at pulling out the magic because being a parent, the biggest mistake that I've easily made is thinking it's things that they need. They don't. They just literally need our presence, and actually putting myself into that situation where it's again, it's just first world problems, but extreme in my world. The kids are able to bring up the most important thing all the time is presence. Like we were just playing Monopoly. My son absolutely loves Monopoly, and we're able just to sit there and play Monopoly. And there's me going, the wall's hanging off. That needs plastering. Why is that pipe sticking out of there? But he's
He's
like, mate, we
probably
just
like,
get.
Dad, I've got $100 in the bank. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put a hotel on that. Bosh, and there's me
Yeah.
worrying about all this stuff. But yeah, they're just able to bring out the most pure thing in crazy moments. And it's actually, if we don't pay attention to our limiting beliefs, the stories that we're telling ourselves, we end up leading ourselves down a garden path, and we get away from the things that we value. And probably people that are listening to this are probably the values are similar to mine, is actually we can fall astray from actually the important stuff in our life. And obviously mine is my children. So yeah, big lesson there.
Yeah, you've worked really hard though with your partner to get to the point that you're in now, haven't you?
Hmm.
What, how have you allowed yourself to move through this together stronger, more connected? Like, what have you had to sacrifice? What have you had to do to get to this point?
Really good question.
Because we also, on this channel, speak to a lot of women. So this is really valuable seeing it from a male perspective, especially.
No pressure then.
Yeah.
um I gave this up a long time ago, but don't coach.
Mm.
Don't coach because obviously
Me too.
it's part of my job, and I sometimes naturally would fall into that. So being in this situation, that was the first thing to I had to make sure that I didn't do. And there obviously was times that I probably slipped into that and maybe asked questions or held space or did those things that I'd naturally do because that felt like the right thing, because it gives me a bit of security as well, because obviously I'm also stressed and I'm trying to manage that. But
But we're as space holders as well. We're inquisitive beings.
mm,
And I'll speak for myself, but because I have experienced the same thing, and we want clarity. And so if we're not receiving it freely, we'll keep asking questions until we get that clarity that we wanted. And actually, they have to come into us at their own time, don't they?
yeah, 100%, 100%. I feel very seen. Um,
It's good
what
though.
it's very good. What we definitely got wrong, I was thinking about the biggest thing that we got wrong is that we didn't plan in things that weren't to do with the house renovation. So obviously, we were exhausted, like working, and then every morning, every night, before every weekend was just how could we just do a job just to obviously get us in the house and it to be kind of livable. And it obviously stretched us at times. There was times that we were just exhausted and probably both said the wrong thing. But for me to take responsibility, there was definitely times that I could have said, right, this afternoon we don't really need to go and paint a wall. Let's just go out for a walk, or because you're
That's a
also then
great
trying to
choice.
worry about money. Do you know? You're like, well, financially, we've got this much money to do this, and then you're like, oh no, and we're going, oh, and the maths aren't mapping, and when the maths aren't mapping, it adds more pressure. But just fun, like stuff that to remind us why we moved to the area, stuff that why we like love each other and why we're actually together. Because the sad thing, probably me articulating this out loud for probably the first time, is that probably a little bit of our relationship got lost, as in the love, the romantic side, because of um, the time pressure of we've got to be in so we can start living, and that part of our life probably got paused. So
Yeah, it's energy, isn't it? Like you only have a certain amount of energy. If you're doing this whole renovation, which it was your full house, wasn't it?
yes,
And then you've got three kids, you probably have other things going on, like, keeping up with health, your finances,
mm,
and your own hobbies, your own enjoyment. When it comes to your relationship, it actually usually is the first thing that people go, oh,
mm,
well, we can put a pause on that. But actually,
mm,
it's the root of it all.
mm.
And it makes sense why that happened. But do you think that it would be better? Ooh, interesting question. Do you think it would have been better to do what you did and put kind of like a pause on all of that enjoyment to get the house where it is now, so then you could have more frequent enjoyment now at a closer timeline, or to have done that consistently throughout and spent more time doing the house and had delayed enjoyment in that way?
Good question. I think there was probably an element of my belief around what fun or time together looked like. I sort of probably built it up to be like it has to look like this big thing when we're together, and it's like a trip away or a big art, like this whole thing. Whereas actually, I think it's probably again, I'll take full responsibility. It's probably my perception about it just being an afternoon off, or like going to the bakery, or going
Oh
for a
yeah,
walk, or just watching a film. Do you know what I mean? Like it
we
could have just been
overcomplicate
that.
it, don't we?
Yeah, and I
I
think
think
it's
we
probably pressure.
I think we overcomplicate everything in life though. Like I would say one of the biggest parts of my job is simplifying things for people.
Mm,
And the mind loves to create chaos.
mm.
Many different pathways coming in and directing us. It's so interesting, isn't it, when you actually take a step back and you reflect. It's like, thank you for sharing that, by the way, with us. Because if that's the first time you've said it, that's a pretty big thing.
It's my
But
pleasure. You made me think about it, and I was like, but this is also why this sort of conversations are healthy, because sometimes there's things you don't miss or you don't realize. And what you were saying about the I mean, completely resonate. And same with me, same with the people that I help and the things that I do. And the same for me. It's why it's so important just to communicate with people. Is again, is probably another lesson, is the biggest thing, is that our communication, how we speak to each other, simplified, but then volume wise went up. So we almost these more like check-in points, because it's so easy for us to get in our heads and just ruminate about whatever we're thinking and feeling, and then we don't actually take action on the thing or be decisive in the decision that we have to make. It just ends up being more pressure. And again, with the house stuff, that's what happened. We just kept rolling, and things weren't happening until we got to like, we're pretty exhausted now, we probably could actually move in, or we could live. Like, would I do things differently? Maybe minor things, but nothing majorly, because I think it got us to the point where we were. And I think now I'm in a position that I have all of these valuable lessons that I can make sure that we have in that next part of life, relationship, etc.
yeah,
Like, would that have come up
would you
without
do
that?
it again?
Would I?
Yeah.
Maybe not to this extent. This was definitely more, we bit off more than we could chew.
Did
Or
you
maybe
did
not,
you
because we did it. Maybe not,
Yeah.
because we did it.
But did you know that you were always going to do that? Was that all the whole house always the plan?
Yes, we've lived in a few properties now, and that was what we've always kind of done. Sort of to get on the market, we were like, let's get something a bit janky, and then we can like try and up like go up a bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like I would love to be the type of person to do that, but I don't think I am.
Why do you say that?
Um, oh, okay. So um I think you have to have a specific area of life that you are consistently growing in and investing in. I don't think that you can have a strong focus on, for example, your business, a health goal. That your what you've done, I would say it's very personal.
Mm,
Like you want to live in a nicer house, so that's a
mm,
personal goal. And my focus has always been business.
mm,
I put a lot of value in my business. And I
mm,
think that as long as I've got a home that I can feel like it's a bit of my own, I feel safe in it, I
mm,
can pretty much live anywhere. Um, but then I think that's from I've almost trained myself to be that way because I've traveled lots, I've lived in like
yeah.
so many different places. So now where I live, it doesn't really matter to me. It
Okay.
quite literally is just I want to feel have some of my like my home things and like my little trinkets. I've got these random little animals on the side.
Yeah.
And like I've got one from every holiday when I was a kid. I don't know when I stopped this. I must have stopped this when I actually went traveling, and you can't carry these things
No,
around.
no, no,
But
no.
I've got loads from the holidays I
Yeah.
went on, and those things matter to me. But actually, like the house itself, it just doesn't matter to me. And I think I would just put all of that money, all of that energy and time into my business.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of it's also control.
Yeah.
In my business, I can control a lot of things. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
something comes out of the blue, like a client cancels or something, but also I've got to the point where I'm so trusting in myself and I really trust the universe. Like, whenever a client cancels, it will only be a matter of a few days when a new client comes in.
Mm,
And it comes out of nowhere, and I'll literally like pray into it and it happens. Now I know that there's so many logical masculine things that are behind this. Like I've got a
yeah.
structure on my Instagram, I've got foundations that my business runs for me, but also the feminine creative kind of flow acceptance of like things come and go. I'm also at that point with that. I If a wall fucking fell down, that would rattle me. That would really stress me out. And if that happened, I would feel unsafe. And so it's interesting though, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people would be the other way and they would go, "Oh, if a wall fell down in my house, at least I'd have the four walls around me, like it would be absolutely fine." But
Mm,
if a client cancelled in their business, it would be the end of their world.
mm,
So I guess it's just where we have invested our time and energy to feel safe.
mm.
Also, put my hands up, I'm not a homeowner. But then that's a whole nother question. Would I be?
Would you be? And I think the major spin is what you gave it away there. It's that you value freedom. And actually, the idea
Yeah.
of you having something that you've put all your money into, does that then make you feel stuck? Whereas me, I obviously, the reason that I love to cook. This might sound backwards, but I love to cook and like, I love the idea of like cooking a meal and then all of the kids, like, sounds like I've got loads, but all the kids sitting around and then my wife, and
That
then
village.
maybe she's got friends, yeah, all of them, family, friends, and we're able to have this like nice thing in this like space that's ours, that's created. And it's how can I um have that? Because that was probably one of the greatest gifts that my wife has taught me. She's very social person. She's very good. Her family, there's lots of them, and they all come together and they eat. And it's like, to me initially when we first met, it felt very alien because I was like, "Oh, what do you mean we sit together and have dinner? Don't we sit separately?" But then as I've kind of grown up with it and got closer to her family, it's something that Um, Combination with my wanting to cook, I can't, but I like to. Um, Wanting to be able to do that for people, and I just think there's something so nice about eating with people and
Wait,
just
I love that. You love to cook, but you can't cook.
no, I can cook like 5 dishes. So
What
it's
are
like
they? Go on, give them to me.
well, it's basic stuff. It's nothing fancy, mate. I'm not gonna embarrass myself on
Not
the
gonna
internet.
out yourself.
I'm not gonna out myself. But yeah, it's nothing fancy. But it's no, I just like to be able to do that. I think there's something really nice about people just enjoying a meal and just spending time. And I think like the environment of having this nice space, like it's an environment like again, this is probably me showing myself up here. As I was kind of growing up, the important people in my life had a really nice space. So I'd go to their house and it would be like welcoming. And it doesn't mean it's this big, massive house because my house isn't a big, massive house, but it was more that it was theirs and you could feel their personality in it. They
Oh,
would welcome you in and you'd sit and you'd chat and you'd talk. And um,
I love walking into a house and you can feel somebody's energy. Like you can smell it, you
yeah,
can feel that warmth. I would hope though that people feel that in my rented house
I
because
imagine they would.
we are that presence. Like
Yes.
it's down to you as a human to bring
Mm,
that energy into the space. Um, But reflecting on what you've just said is hugely freedom. Like one of my highest values is adventure. Like, and if I
mm,
wouldn't be able to have the freedom to adventure, that does weigh heavy on me, like
mm.
big time. Um, for you, did you have that family home growing up? Is that why you want it, or did you not have it and maybe that's why you want it?
I did, but maybe not to the socializing element that I had through other people. So it wasn't
Mm.
it. So we went as a family to other people's events, which sounds really backwards because I'm not really. I am a social person, but I don't like lots of people. So I think it goes back to control. There's an element of me going, right, I can control the amount of people that are in the environment. I can control what we're eating. I can control those elements. But yeah, it's more for the kids, I suppose, to have those experiences with like it could just be their friend. It's my son's birthday the other week, and we had I think it was 5 in total of them running around, and they're not little anymore; they're big. But it was
Yeah.
just nice that they could come here and be together. Do you know what I mean? It's also that they're able to have that sort of space. So yeah, control probably things that I was probably missing, and probably things that I've just realized in later life that I enjoyed, and I kind of wish that I was maybe exposed to sooner.
Are there any more parts of that you could share with us?
No, just maybe that it brings me a sense of pride when it's happening. There's a real sense of like, oh, I did this, I achieved it, it's really cool. It does cause me something like to the build up to it, does cause me a little bit of stress. It's like, oh no, people are coming in the house, make sure it looks like that. But as it's happening, it's like, do you know what? This is great, and this is exactly. It's like reinforces the big scary decision of like, should I have done this? Was this the right thing to do? Um, but yeah, it's just a sort of it's good for me because it allows me to reconfirm the decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Would you say that you're introverted all the time, or do you think you're extroverted around the right people?
The latter.
Yeah, that's there's a new thing that's come out called ambivert.
Okay.
And that's apparently exactly that. So you're extrovert around your people, but you're
Okay.
introvert in the general public, which
Yeah.
I used to be
Okay.
a real extrovert. Like, but now I've like learned about myself, done a lot of healing, a lot of therapy, and I actually love my own company so
Okay.
much. Like so much to the point where I have to really like think about something like do I really want to interact with these people? Like sometimes I'll think to myself, I don't even want to walk into Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Like, and then I read this ambivert thing, and I was like, that makes so much
That's
sense.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, but it took me a long time to really enjoy my own company. At school and like growing up, Were you the same as me, or have you always leaned more into introvert and it was more about finding your people?
Yeah, I think well, being that young and probably hindsight now, it was that whole self acceptance thing to realize, like trying to work out who you are, trying not to tie my sort of self-worth into everything that I did. But obviously at that age, it's hard not to do that. And as I've probably grown up, I've definitely continued doing that at certain points throughout my life. But yeah, I'm definitely more hold myself back. It was just sometimes too shy, which is the funny thing now about me because I'm quite open in talking about how I feel, emotions, all this sort of stuff. Like I definitely probably was more open about it at a probably slightly younger age than a lot of people. But before that, I wouldn't have said nothing. Like school reports, probably like everybody's was like, Ben's really nice, but I just wish he said more. Or Ben's
Oh,
great. I wish
same.
he spoke up. So there's like a lot of that. And I probably then just got to a point where I was like, do you know what? If I'm open with the way that I feel about certain things, I'm going to get the feedback. So I think that was probably something quite obvious that I've always kind of done is like give more of what I want. So if I'm actually meeting someone for the first time now, I will not go heavy on emotion, but I will talk about that subject quickly to almost gauge, are you going to be someone that we are going to get on with? Because a previous version of me maybe wouldn't have done that or spoken about those things and then like hiding it or masking it a little bit. And then the relationship goes a little bit too far. And I'm like, oh, by the way, I like crying stuff.
This
By
is
the
part
way,
of me, you know.
yeah, so it's almost now it's like I just lay my cards on the table and be like, look, we're probably gonna have conversations around these subjects. Are you gonna be all right with it? Obviously, I don't literally word it like that, but
Really?
do you know what I mean? And lay it out.
Oh gosh, I think people know who I am straight away.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't. What do you think? What like
What about you?
yeah, yeah. So for the audience listening, Ben used to be a coach of mine, and we met in Portugal, didn't we? We only
Yes.
worked online, and it was, I wouldn't say it was like intense coaching. It was like pretty distant
Yeah.
coaching. And then we met in Portugal, and we did within a matter of like what, 5 minutes, we were like talking about our childhood trauma, everything.
Yeah.
It did probably help that I'd literally on that day qualified in child trauma, so I think
Yeah.
that like came up. But
Yeah.
um, you before that you didn't know like loads about me, and in that meeting we discovered lots about each other, didn't we?
Yeah. I guess this is just a learned skill that I've got or possess is that I can just sense like someone's energy almost like straight away. And it only takes me like a small amount of time to go, yes. And obviously, because we'd had some sort of interaction, I've seen your social media. So I kind of knew your vibe off of that anyway. But yeah, as soon as we started talking, I was like, she's me, like she's my type of person. So it doesn't take
Oh,
me long to decide. There's not a big window. It only takes a little
yeah.
snippet.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. I think as I've trusted myself more, I can validate my decision a lot quicker with people. Like now I'll meet somebody and literally within minutes I will know whether or not they're like my person or not. Um,
Mhm.
but that is trust, isn't it?
Hmm.
What what are the traits that you look for then?
Bravery.
Mm.
So is the person basically brave enough to tell me something about them? It doesn't have to be fully exposing, but if they're brave enough to sort of lean into an emotion, there's an element of I can't think of the word right now, but I want to say jealousy, as in not that I'm like, oh, this is a bad thing, but it makes me go, oh, I love that about them. It
Oh,
makes
let's
me go,
shift it then. Inspirational?
maybe, yeah, inspirational. There's like, oh, that's great. As in, you're saying, I've just qualified in doing this thing, or I'm just doing this. That it makes me go, ah. So if they definitely tick those two boxes, that's one of the first things that sort of draws me to them because I'm like, wow, they're definitely going to be my type of person. As in, they're sort of trying to make stuff happen, but they're also working through stuff and they're also open to exploring stuff as well. So it's that it can be ticked in those areas. And as soon as I sort of sense that, I'm like, yes, there's definitely going to be some sort of value connection going on here.
Yeah. Oh, isn't it just the best when you
Mm.
come into contact with those people? And you're constantly working with coaches.
Mm,
Do you, what are the different levels of that? Like, there must be some people, to be fair, I've literally just been attracting more coaches, practitioners, therapists,
mm,
because, everyone needs somebody to hold them too.
mm,
And there are still levels within that of vulnerability that people don't want to go to.
mm.
What do you see that stops people from being successful then? Like, because it's going to be down to vulnerability, a lot of it.
Ego.
Really?
Mm.
Come on then, talk to me more about that.
Um,
I also love talking about ego because, as much as I'm a very confident person, I would say I have a strong ego in what I do.
mm,
I also love to drop my ego. Like, if somebody challenges me on something, I fucking love it. I'm like,
mm.
yeah, challenge me. I want to know all of the darkness within me because I want to change it to light.
Yeah, that's the bravery because that's almost what I sense. But um, ego and then obviously rejection. There's probably some intertwining thing going on there. But
Mm.
the people that are super, well, I'll say successful. I'll do the air quotes, which probably if people are listening to this and not watching it, they'll think I'm mad. But it's that rejection piece of like the people that are successful, and that's again, it looks different for everybody, but they're just open to challenging their ego and just almost failing with like simple everyday tasks. There's things that people that get very defensive about that maybe hide themselves from, maybe because they're literally scared or they don't know how to do it, or there's a why do I don't need to do that. Like I'm above that. And that just slows
Mm.
people down. It's that um my favorite sayings at the moment, I feel like a bit of a broken record, is that you want, like, if your goals were at the end of a ladder, like a fireman's ladder, you want the ladder as long as possible, but the rungs on the ladder, you want them as close as possible. The
Yeah.
people that are succeeding keep the rungs closer. The people that maybe it takes them a little bit more time to kind of make the decisions, the rungs on the ladder are huge, and they're almost not willing to sort of keep them close, to keep the actions smaller. And it's to keep it as simple as possible. It's that because the people obviously get up the ladder quicker if the rungs are closer together, basically.
Yeah, I so hear you. So, like, instead of trying to take big leaps, it's like taking those small steps that you can do quicker. Actually, that is so relative, right? Because I climbed, I'm gonna absolutely butcher this, so sorry to any Welsh people. But Penny Fan,
Mm,
the mountain last
mm,
week, and I've had a foot injury, so I haven't been able to do loads of walking and exercise for a while, and I'm not as fit as I once was, and I was like getting a bit puffed out. And Grace was saying, my partner was saying, take smaller steps, like, because it will
yeah.
become easier. If
Yes.
and almost penguin walk up the
Yes.
mountain, because I
Yeah.
was taking big lunges. And I was
Yes.
like, fuck, this is really hard work. And like, obviously, when you're taking lunges, you're like re-rolling your foot all the way to your toes. My injury's in my toes, so I was like getting pain. My
Mm,
thighs were burning. And as soon as I took those small steps, I was like, oh, do, 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 do. This is nice. I can
yeah.
do this. Didn't need
Yeah.
as many breaks.
Yeah.
So that's so relative.
Yeah. It's exactly it. It's exactly it. And it's dropping the ego to go, okay, this is the next small thing that I need to do. There's I think it was an Alex Hormozy quote, and I'm not the biggest Alex Hormozy fan, but it was a clip that he sort of spoke about, even though he's the interview he did a little while ago was actually breathtaking with forget the gentleman's name, where he sort of fully exposed himself. Fair play to him, mad.
Tony
Um,
Robbins.
yes, if you
Yeah,
haven't watched
that was
that, go and watch it.
incredible.
It's cool. But um, Alex Hormozy says something about success, and some guy in the audience stands up and says, "Alex, why are you so successful?" And he goes, "I literally probably make 20 big decisions in a day, and it probably takes you 2 years to make the same amount." And the
Yeah,
guy then sat down and sort of laughed, and he was like, "I'm not saying that to be come across wrong, but he said I've just got to a point in my life where I just go action, 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 action." And that's
yeah.
the point. I think if you can align the actions to what you specifically value for the right reasons, you'll get to where you want to be quicker.
decision fatigue.
Mm,
That is a thing. It's like
mm,
every single time you don't make a decision, you have to then make another decision.
mm.
And it relates a lot back to your childhood though. Like,
And the house renovation.
oh yeah,
Because we've spent, and this is where to bring it back to the relationship for 2 seconds. I don't want to ruin your point,
no,
but
sorry.
we were sort of painting the house all day, and then we'd have this like, what are we having for dinner? I don't know, you decide. But because we've then had to decide what color paint, what color flooring, what carpet, you've
Yeah,
made 15 decisions in one day about something you're trying to get done, and then a simple one is just feels impossible, which then really not the food itself is the most important thing because that's the time we're meant to be together, but it becomes this, oh, we got to eat now, oh, because of
yeah.
decision fatigue.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then even more so going further into it, it's like you say to your partner, "What do you want for dinner?" And they say, "I don't know." Well, they've even had to think about that answer of saying, "I don't know." And
Mm,
then they're passing it back. You probably then I'd say, "I don't know." And then they're then going back making that's suddenly like
yeah,
made six decisions that literally could have been one.
yeah.
And we're all guilty of it. I do it too. Most relationships I think would. Um, but yeah, it does stem a lot back to childhood because I did a lot of research around this about decisions, and a lot of it came back to if decisions were taken away from you as a child, it's harder to make decisions.
Interesting.
And it's like anything, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
habit, it's a practice that we have to learn. And if we weren't given the opportunity to learn it as a child because all of our decisions were made for us, of course it's going to be hard.
Mm. Yeah, that's pretty cool because I remember reading something ages ago is that you're basically the parent for your children that you wish that you had them as parents. Does that make sense? I butchered
Yeah.
that.
So you're trying to become the parent that you wished you had.
Yes. And I did find that when I started having kids, I was like, oh, I won't do that because that's what my parents said. I won't do that because my dad used to say that. I won't do that. And it was like, no, hang on a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like in that action or that line of thinking, you literally then eradicate all of the good things that they were doing because you're just focusing on the negatives of like, we're actually like a lot about, I'll just talk about mine because I don't know, I speak about other people specifically, but my child was loads that was great, but you just focus on maybe the bits that you were like, oh no, no, which is bad because you forget the good elements of what you had.
Yeah, well, it's so easy to fall into the blame, into the highlighting what went
Mm,
wrong. Especially for me, I was brought up from a separated family,
mm,
from a really young age. I don't even remember it. And they brought the two families brought us up completely differently,
mm,
like polar opposite. And I've had to do a lot of psychological work around understanding this because a lot of my trauma actually was not knowing right from wrong, or or how I wanted to be, because it was constantly, oh, that family does this, but this family does that, and which one's right? So how do I please? Because I'm trying
mm,
to please this person that's told me that this is right, but this person said this is right.
mm,
And as I've like become an adult and I can make my own choices, it's been really empowering. I'm really grateful because I think a lot of people that don't have that really clear separation, they don't have, like, for me it was going backward and forward from family every other week, and eventually that stops. Like,
mm,
it's got to stop at some point, and then that moment when it stops and suddenly you're just with one family or you're on your own, everything like starts coming through and you're like, holy shit, there's another way of life. Or like,
mm,
oh, I didn't need to be doing that, like, anyway. And so I got that real big breakthrough opportunity that I think some people that don't come from separated families don't get.
mm,
And that's how I see a huge positive in it, is like, wow, I got this opportunity really young to actually make my own choices. But also, I've seen the positives in a lot of structure and a lot of discipline. And I've seen a lot of positives in freedom and in exploring. And that's the two backgrounds. Like,
mm.
they were just so opposite in that way. Um, Wildly, actually.
is that the would that be the biggest lesson from that then? The what are that I'm not going to put words into your mouth. What are the biggest lessons from that?
Oh gosh, okay. Um, loads. And I think that I think it's so important to look at life not as one whole thing and
Mm,
look at it as, if we're looking at the four different areas of life instead, there being relationships, your wealth, your health, and then your personal goals. I think that is the best way to deal with it because if I just looked at it as a whole, it's so confusing. Like, my mind, no wonder people's minds spiral because they're trying to tackle everything all at once. Whereas, like, if I look at the relationship part of things, what I've learned is you really have to have a balance between masculine and feminine.
mm,
So, my one side of my house was hugely masculine. It was very disciplined. We had to do this at this time. We had to study this. Um, like we had to know our times by tables off by heart and read our book and go to bed at this time. And I even say that now. I'm catching myself saying it like with a negative part standpoint, but
yeah.
actually there were so many amazing parts of that. I love reading now because they disciplined me to read. I love writing because I've
Mm.
learned how to consume emotion through words and I know my time's tables off by
Yeah.
um my business wouldn't do as well as it does. Um because I'm very disciplined and I have
Mm,
structure and I was taught a lot of in those relationships I was taught um bravery.
mm,
Like I wouldn't be as courageous as I am if I hadn't have had that discipline. Um and then because discipline allows you to be courageous.
mm,
Discipline allows you to have safety and grounding, and that allows you to then have the freedom. So then on the other side of things, my massive lesson is let your fucking hair down. Like
mm,
you can be a boss lady, boss man, and still have fun. And you can be your childlike self, and you can also drive and achieve. Like the both can coexist. And I think that again with relationships, I learned that if you take everything really seriously, then you won't be living anyway. So then what's the point in the success? And then that leads into wealth. I learned from having the two different sides that um, you need to enjoy your money, but you also have to know where you're at. And you have to
mm,
stay humble and grounded in what you have. And you have to give. Like a lot of people want to receive lots of money, but they don't want to give. Well, I'm sorry, that's not how the cookie crumbles. Like, you want people to invest in you, well, you've got to invest in yourself first.
mm,
And that was really shown to me in that way. Um, my health, that struggled, not gonna lie. When you're being pulled from here to there and you've got lots of different disciplines, your body goes into I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get by. Um, because both families also fed us very differently, had very different habits. So I kind of really learned that food was my emotional comfort.
mm,
I probably ate a lot less at one home and I ate loads at the other home.
mm,
So I learned to binge eat. And I've had to overcome that. So that was like a massive lesson. And then personally, I couldn't really have hobbies because
all right.
there wasn't consistency. So now I really value consistency.
Mm,
And as much as I love the freedom, like we were saying, and not having this like grounded base, there's an element of it that I do enjoy consistency because I've learned that to really be really fucking good in your business, to be healthy and to have good friends and to have a strong relationship, you have to be grounded and you have to have consistency.
mm.
So they're all my lessons.
No, they're really, really good. Was there you said something at the beginning that was stuck in my mind. At what point in your life were you able to see the positives between the masculine and the feminine? Was there a point where you remember going, oh, actually, this is like a good thing. This isn't like a negative?
That happened about 3 years ago. I actually didn't speak to my dad for 8 months, and I had to take a real big step back, and
Mm,
I had to go and do a lot of healing around it. A lot of healing around that discipline and structure because it always felt like it was a punishment, and actually it wasn't. It was love in his own way.
mm,
Um, and but it took time, and I think a lot of people struggle with this because there's different aspects to it. But look, 100 years ago, there was such a large amount of people that were religious compared to now. There's been a huge decline in religion, and religion is very, separate in how male and female are perceived. And a lot of people still have those beliefs ingrained in them and those traditional ways of being. And I think that when your generations are from that background, and then so are your parents have been brought up from that background, and then they divorce, which is not seen as a religious thing to do, there's a lot of emotion that comes into that. So there's a lot of embarrassment, shame, guilt, resentment, anger, upset. And if that's not dealt with, then if someone's got to deal with it eventually. And that was
mm.
me. You can,
Surprise.
yeah, here I
Yeah.
am. I'm glad. Now I really am glad it was me because what a bloody gift.
Mm,
I thank goodness I am so happy, and I look at you shouldn't compare, but I do look at people and I think, please look at your emotions,
mm,
because if you look into them, if you heal them and feel them, there's your happiness.
mm,
And I found my purpose through it. I've got a really strong, loving relationship through it. I
mm.
am really healthy. Yeah, I've got this blooming injury on my foot, but
Yeah.
other than that, I'm really healthy. And it's given me all these lessons to become, I would say, the best version of me now.
Mm,
And I'll never stop that now. I'll always invest in myself. I always am, and always finding ways to be better because of it. So yeah, I'm really grateful for it all now. And I do say that to my parents. I'm like, please forgive yourself because I'm grateful for this.
mm,
Like, I'm so grateful for everything. And I do, like you say, you can focus on the negatives or you can focus on the positives. And
mm.
there was a long time that I focused on the negatives. And I would say, like, yeah, there's been many breakthroughs. I've been to lots of different therapists, healers along the way. And yeah, the you do come to a place of acceptance.
That's mad. That's such a journey, and there's probably about a billion questions that I could ask. So, a lot of the people that you work with, where on the timeline of that are they experiencing all of that, and how do you simplify that for them?
So I have a variety of different clients. Some will be um, more in their trauma. So maybe they are experiencing abuse or difficult situations, and I'll be helping them come out of those experiences.
Mm.
Once they've come out of those experiences, they then have to be nurtured to heal. The longer I've been in practice now, the more I'm getting clients further along in their journey,
Okay.
which is also why I'm attracting therapists, practitioners, and stuff like that. Because I think that I'm ever changing, so my clients are going to be changing.
Mm.
But I then have other clients that have chronic illnesses because of connections and relationship connections that have broken down, and the emotion within them is causing them physical pain and physical illness.
Mm.
And I help them through the body first, then we go to the mind. And then I've got people that are moving through divorce, that are trying to have a better relationship with their kids, that want better relationships with their parents. So they're the kind of like three focuses that I have. And I accept anybody. And everyone's, I had spoke, oh God, I've worked with a lot of coaches where they've said, because I love to try lots of different things to find the right thing. They're like, you got to niche down, you got to niche down. And I'm like, I actually don't agree with that now. And I don't know what you think of this. But yes, okay, there's an element to it. I've niched down to say I specialize in anxiety, unexplained illness, and relationships. But within that, I work with anybody that's struggling because me as a practitioner, first of all, I think if you're working in this field, you should be trauma informed anyway.
Mm.
You should be able to meet somebody in their trauma, and you should be able to meet somebody that's been out of their trauma for 20 years and they're still struggling. You should have a range. And if you don't, then you're probably getting stuck somewhere within yourself. And then you
Mm.
need to be having space held for you before you're holding space for others.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a big variety, and I love that about this work is there is such variety.
What's the most valuable thing about your job that you didn't think would be valuable?
I love this because I'm meant to be asking you the questions.
Reverse Uno.
um, Sorry, what did you say? What's the most valuable thing
Thing about
about?
your job that you didn't expect to be so valuable.
I don't think you can explain the feeling of transformation to anybody
Mm.
until they've felt it themselves. And I don't mean their transformation, I mean helping somebody else transform.
Mm.
Taking somebody from deep childhood trauma, you know, a lot of my clients have experienced domestic or sexual abuse. And sometimes they come to me with these illnesses or relationship struggle goes blank from the trauma, and as we
Oh,
work together more of their memory comes back.
all right.
And yeah, and so it's revealed a lot of the time that this happened in their childhood, and taking somebody from that all the way through to loving themselves, to being able to have deep, intimate, caring love, to being able to have the best health they've ever had, to creating a business that they thrive in, or getting a promotion, or thriving in their work because of the healing, and then being able to feel like they can go and do life with this new
Mm.
brightness and happiness. There is nothing. I really don't think. I actually did a story on it today and I started crying because I just find it overwhelming that this is my job.
Mm.
You cannot explain to somebody that feeling. Like, wow. I'm like, if I died tomorrow, I will have done a bloody good job. And I would be proud. And I think that's what life is about.
We've got a microphone. We drop it.
That's so kind. But yeah, I do. Thank you for asking me that.
No, I appreciate you. You said something and it made me think about it, and sometimes it is that thing that we're not paying attention to. And again, it's like to revert it back to the house stuff. Like the most valuable thing that I wanted to be able to do was just sit in there and eat or relax with the kids, and there's me getting distracted by the other things. And sometimes our focus can be somewhere it doesn't need to be. And I think and this is the power of coaching, but also the power of being surrounded by people that love you and that pay attention to what you're saying, because they can revert you back to where you're meant to be. Because we are at the end of the day just human beings, and we're trying our best with what we've got. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to hear
And we
why we're
all
so
need a little
connected.
bit of like support along the way.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you were also a massive part of this for me. Huge. Like,
I'll pay you later. Pay compliments to me.
but
You're not
like,
meant to pay compliments to me.
yes, I am. Yes, I am. You're allowed to accept my compliment.
I would accept your compliment. I'll just look away.
No, but even like I'll put in my bio like relationships, and I remember, and this was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Mm,
I You were like, well, you'll go into relationships. I don't even know if you remember saying that to me on Zoom, and I was living in Bali at the time, and and I was like, oh, how could I possibly do that? Because like me and Grace were going through like this challenging time where like so much we were growing so much and so rapidly
mm,
that we couldn't keep up with each other. And we were like, whoo, and we had to like come back, and that's the grounding and the security. So as much as traveling looks amazing, it can sometimes like rupture as well, because that's what it's for, right? It's like for
mm,
opening capacity up. Um,
mm.
and that grounding. And I was like, no, no way. And I still now, when I look at my bio, I think of you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So big up to you.
I appreciate you.
You're doing a great job. And I want to reverse then that question and Uno throw it back at you is what value do you think you are giving to get back right now too?
Probably just this might feel like I'm sitting on a fence, but it's literally just what you said. I love it when I it's not my idea, it's just something that I see from someone and I just think like, look, what about that? And you see them not reject it, but you see this nervousness around it. You're like, oh, I like that maybe. And then it always takes time. It always takes someone a little bit of time to sort of own, because it's really, I suppose, again, I'm articulating this for the first time, so sorry if this is a bit it's shaky, but it's actually someone owning their own story and their own path, because from someone in their own business or whatever, it's generally that is that they have to go, yes, this is the journey that I've been on. This is me. This is what I stand for, and then to fully stand behind it. Because the best part about what you just shared there, and I appreciate you sharing that, is that that was part of the story and you just didn't know it yet. And I didn't know it yet either. But off the back of that period, it really solidified actually what you wanted to do, which then gave you the confidence to go, this is me. And as simple as it sounds, just sometimes writing it in your bio or wherever allows you to go, yes. So it's that the thing that I find most valuable or see value in is when someone sees themselves through their own experiences and them then realizing that's enough to then go and help someone else, or in a different situation, it's that's good. It's like they're not behind or they don't need to be someone else, or it's something I hear from people a lot, like my story's not good enough, or I've not done all these incredible things, or they compare them. It's like, no, no, your story's special. Like that's going to have some influence, whether it's just you or your children, or again, if you're a business owner, it's going to have so much influence on people. So yeah, self-acceptance to themselves, their story, and then I love catching people on the edge of them realizing that that's what they're here to do.
And you do that on a really large scale because you're helping coaches with their business. And then the domino effect is so great because
Mm,
that one coach that you've helped could then go and help 100 of, well, I don't know, like some of the coaches that you're helping, could be huge. So
mm.
they could then be helping hundreds of people. And that domino effect of acceptance that you're passing on is so incredible.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it's actually quite, it made me sort of choke up a little bit because it like, and again, that's why yeah, as silly as this sounds, I do what I do because I want people to look after themselves properly, as in accept themselves for who they are, allow themselves to live and live amongst your values. When you're saying, I love to travel, I love to do all of this, I love that. It's going to look different for different people, but then knowing that now you are helping all of these people go through all of their life and be in a position is amazing because it's like that's going to have an impact on their family and their children and all of this sort of stuff. And yeah, it's cool. It's a cool thing to be able to do, and I'm very grateful to be able to um, meet incredible people just like you.
You too. You too. You are doing an incredible thing. It's amazing. And I know that you don't really like the compliments, but you honestly are incredible. You're so welcoming, so warm, and so accepting. And even this conversation, how did you wangle that? How did that shift round? And that, even in itself, is a skill. So I'm super grateful for you giving us your time and coming on. And oh, I'm so happy. My cheeks are aching.
Some sort of ache.
I'm like, who needs Botox when you've got a smile?